Squirtle is often treated as the safe starter choice, but that reputation hides what actually makes this evolutionary line special. While Bulbasaur focuses on control and Charmander thrives on raw power, Squirtle is built around defense and strategy, and that design philosophy doesn't just affect gameplay, it shapes the entire identity of the line from beginning to end. Because Squirtle's evolutions raise some fascinating questions. Why does it suddenly introduce long ears and a flowing tail that disappear later? Why does Blastoise abandon subtlety entirely and turn into a walking weapons platform? And how did this line quietly establish one of the most reliable competitive identities in Pokemon history without ever being the loudest or flashiest option? This episode continues our Pokédex deep dive series where we break down every Pokemon in order and look beyond nostalgia and try to understand the design intent. As you guys can see, I have on some new clothes because I'm trying to fit this whole theme. Also, if you guys want to do some special episodes where I break down specific Pokemon outside of the order, please leave a comment on which Pokemon you would like for me to break down as I continue going in my regular order. So, let's hop right into it. Squirtle's design tells you everything you need to know about it the moment you see it. Unlike Charmander's exposed flames or Bulbasaur's living plant, Squirtle is built around protection. Its shell isn't just a hiding place, it's armor. According to Pokédex entries, Squirtle's shell hardens rapidly after birth and becomes incredibly resistant, allowing it to withstand direct attacks while maintaining mobility. This immediately sets Squirtle apart as the most defensive-oriented of the Kanto starters. The turtle inspiration is obvious, but the philosophy behind it is more important. Squirtle isn't designed to overwhelm opponents quickly, it's designed to endure. Its body is compact, its limbs are sturdy, and its tail helps maintain balance in the water at high speed. And back in the day, there used to be a debate whether or not this tail was a squirrel tail, but more people are leaning towards that it looks like waves crashing together. Even its move pool reflects that identity early on. Moves like Withdraw, Rapid Spin, and later Protect style mechanics reinforce Squirtle's role as a Pokemon that survives first and wins second. That defensive identity carries directly into the anime. Squirtle's most iconic appearance comes from the Squirtle Squad, a group of abandoned Squirtle that formed their own vigilante unit. Unlike Charmander's abandonment, which created vulnerability, Squirtle's abandonment created structure. The squad wears sunglasses, follows a leader, and uses teamwork to solve problems. When Ash's Squirtle joins the group, it doesn't do so as a victim, it joins as a tactician. This portrayal cemented Squirtle as clever, confident, and naturally suited to leadership. From a gameplay perspective, Squirtle was often considered the most beginner-friendly starter in Pokemon Red and Blue, but that label undersells it. Its strong matchup against Brock and neutral footing against Misty made early progression smoother. But more importantly, Squirtle taught players patience. You weren't racing to knock the opponent out, you were outlasting them. That lesson carries forward into nearly every water-type archetype that followed. Competitively, like the other starters, Squirtle itself never shaped metas, but it established a template. Solid defense, reliable utility, and adaptability became hallmarks of water types for generations to come, even at the early stages. Wartortle is actually one of the more fascinating middle evolutions in the Kanto starters, largely because it looks like it belongs in a completely different evolutionary path. While Squirtle is compact and straightforward, and Blastoise is overtly militarized, Wartortle introduces flowing ears, a long curled tail, and more elegant posture that almost feels mythological rather than tactical. This visual shift has confused a lot of people over the decades, but it's not accidental. Wartortle's design draws inspiration from East Asian mythology, particularly legends surrounding the long-lived water spirits and the divine turtles. In these stories, age and wisdom are often represented through exaggerated features like flowing hair or tails. Wartortle's tail, coated in thick fur, is said in Pokédex entries to be a symbol of longevity and experience. The ear fins serve a similar purpose, giving Wartortle a more refined, almost ceremonial appearance. This positions Wartortle not just as a stronger Squirtle, but as a Pokemon entering a phase of discipline and mastery. Competitively, Wartortle, just like its compatriots you probably guessed, never really mattered. But with the introduction of Eviolite, just like them, it turned it into a pretty durable support Pokemon. It was able to absorb hits and provide utility through moves like Rapid Spin and Scald. While never a meta staple, its presence reinforces the same lesson its design suggests: refinement matters. Wartortle may feel like an odd detour on the evolution line, but it serves a critical purpose. It bridges raw defense and overwhelming firepower, proving that true strength often develops in silence before it ever announces itself. Blastoise is where the Squirtle line abandons subtlety and fully commits to its purpose. Gone are the mythological flourishes of Wartortle. In their place are cannons, reinforced plating, and a design that looks less like a creature and more like a siege engine. Blastoise isn't just a turtle with weapons, it's Pokemon's earliest example of intentional militarization. According to Pokédex entries, Blastoise water cannons are capable of punching holes through steel and concrete with pinpoint accuracy. They aren't decorative. These retract into the shell for protection, rotate for targeting, and fire with enough force to overpower almost any opponent head-on. This design marks a clear philosophical shift. Squirtle survives, Wartortle refines, and Blastoise dominates through controlled force. The anime reinforces this role almost immediately. Blastoise is almost always portrayed as an authority figure. Gym leaders, elite trainers, and veteran battlers use it as a symbol of experience and command. Where Charizard represents raw, sometimes reckless power, Blastoise represents discipline. It doesn't need to prove itself, it simply executes. When Blastoise shows up, it feels like the battle has entered into a serious phase. Competitively, Blastoise's legacy is built on reliability. In early generations, it carved out a role as a bulky water type, capable of absorbing punishment while threatening consistent damage. As competitive play evolved, Blastoise became known for utility rather than raw offense. Access to rapid spin made it invaluable as a hazard remover, especially in formats where entry hazards dictated entire matches. Blastoise didn't sweep teams, it enabled them. Mega Evolution elevated that identity rather than replacing it. Mega Blastoise gained the ability Mega Launcher, boosting pulse-based moves like Dark Pulse, Aura Sphere, and Water Pulse. This transformed Blastoise into a flexible special attacker that punished switch-ins while retaining its natural bulk. It wasn't fragile or gimmicky, it was efficient, adaptable, and difficult to wall. Mega Blastoise became a quiet threat, one that rewarded smart positioning and punished mistakes. Gigantamax Blastoise continued this philosophy. G-Max Cannonade applied residual damage to opposing Pokemon over multiple turns, reinforcing Blastoise's identity as a pressure-based tank. Instead of overwhelming opponents instantly, it forced them into losing positions through attrition, chip damage, and control. In VGC formats, Blastoise thrived on teams built around positioning and endurance rather than speed alone. In the Pokemon TCG, Blastoise's influence is just as foundational. The original base set Blastoise defined early competitive play through Rain Dance, an ability that allowed unlimited water energy attachment. That single effect shaped an entire era of deck building and cemented Blastoise as a strategic cornerstone. Later Blastoise cards continued that trend, focusing on energy acceleration, durability, and methodical power rather than flashy knockout. Blastoise wins by outlasting, outthinking, and outpositioning. In a franchise filled with spectacle, that makes it one of the most quietly dangerous Pokemon ever designed. The Squirtle line may not always steal the spotlight, but it has shaped how defensive Pokemon are designed across generations. It's proof that in Pokemon, the smartest path isn't always the loudest one. If you all enjoyed that breakdown, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Next time we move on to Pokemon number 10 and continue our journey through the entire Pokédex, one Pokemon at a time. Catch you guys next time.